Salutations, ladies and gentlemen, and those that need not apply. My name is Trig Jegman. You may have seen me around, or I may be a completely new face. I've decided to try something new today. Consider this a little pilot of an experiment that I've wanted to do for a little while. I've always been fascinated by the idea of doing podcasts, but those are kind of cringe on their own. And I also know that I drive a lot extensively, and I get kind of bored going back and forth between places or, listening to the same couple of CDs on loop. So I figured, why not combine the two? My phone is my recording device. It is in a secure location. I'm in a slightly different vehicle today. My destination is an airport as I pick some people up from it. And I'm just going to keep on talking as I drive. I just got out of work. And, I think it's a quasi-podcast, maybe a little ASMR, car ambient sounds. You can hear the purring of the engine and the clicking of the turn signals, and I'm gonna try and not yell, try and not be loud and boisterous as I normally am. And, we'll have a relaxed vibe. It's about 9 p.m. on a Wednesday, so it's middle of the week. Things are going well. September has just started to cool off, so we're getting that autumn vibe while we're here. I'm looking forward to the changing of the weather, mostly so that I can update my wardrobe. I'm not much of a summer person, and I don't really handle heat very well, which means now that, autumn and winter are coming around the corner, I can be a little more expressive, especially when you have a somewhat goth aesthetic, although not nearly as much as it used to be. Currently on a 4-lane road, 2 on both sides. It's one of those roads where you can park on it some of the time, but not all of the time. And people seem to forget that cars like to park here at night, which means there's a lot of weaving back and forth between the lanes. We're going to be making our first turn. Hopefully you enjoy the turn signal of this truck that I'm in. Or a truck is not the most accurate. It is a van. A little gentler than the one in my normal vehicle of choice. Surrounded by banks. There's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in eye shot of me right now. It's always surprising to me how many banks there are. I've really only used 3 in my life. One of them, not necessarily by choice. Oh, correction, there was 6 banks. There was one hidden to the side. We're on a slightly busier intersection now. You might hear a couple cars passing by, or in this case, a motorcycle. A lot of shops, a lot of little places. A few of these places I'd like to try one day. I believe the one on my left right now, without naming it too explicitly, does steaks. I'm not huge into steak, but I don't mind a good one every now and again. I mean, worst to worst, they have a bar, so you can forget about the quality of the steak if it's atrocious, or you could celebrate it if it's great. I'm a little bit of a strange personality. I do think that wine and steak go well together if you pair them right. Dark red wine, darker meat. It's a good time. It appears that the price of gas has fallen quite significantly from this morning, as this place is peddling it for $2.99. It's a good thing I maybe put off buying gas. It was $3.50 this morning. Passing some new apartments now. I'm not huge into all the new apartments going up. They cost too much, and they all have dumb names. That's the part that kind of annoys me. one will go up on a street called Broadview, and they will call the apartments the Broadview. Or they will have one in an area called, Lush Meadows, and they will call it the Lush Meadows. I don't know. I think they could stand to be just a hair more creative. The harvest moon is out. I don't believe it's in full swing anymore, but it is still that delicious orange color. Quite a pretty sight indeed. I do enjoy the moon. I'm more of a night person myself. Perhaps tying me more to be like a vampire, like the people say. There used to be a park where I'm at. They unfortunately ripped up most of it for development, which is a shame, but also not terribly surprising. We're about to get on the highway. Our interstate of choice right now is 315. It's just a good highway name, I think. The old 315. I sure hope that this BMW doesn't think I'm trying to follow him. As we enter the highway, we go a little faster. This is one of those on-ramps with a light. Now, it's green right now, but during rush hour, it alternates between green and red. So, at some points, you'll have to wait to get on the highway, which I'm not complaining about, because this is a very popular one during rush hour. Speed limit's a little faster now, and most people don't actually follow the real one. A couple views of the hospitals of the area, a movie theater, a couple of apartment towers. So, quite a gorgeous night. Clear skies. Not too many cars out, but just enough to not feel alone. We are about to get off on the first exit that matters as we pass by a big radio tower. I always have loved radio towers. Not just because of the radio service, but just the idea of climbing one sounds really fun. Which is odd. I've always been kind of squeamish with heights. I've never handled them too well. But something about being on a radio tower just seems really, really interesting. Maybe a sense of isolation, something like that. Passing a fish market. It is a restaurant, despite the name. I've never been there, but they have this giant brass fish statue out front. I am fascinated by it. The other major statue that I'm passing is a sculpture called the Moonbirds. It's a very unique statue. They're sort of two metallic bird-shaped objects, in a sense. But it rotates with the wind. I guess it's on an axis or something, and as the wind blows, the entire sculpture moves. I wish there was more information on the subject, but there's really not much. I think only one website even really talks about it. And we're getting off 315. We're merging on to 670, a different interstate today. I'm hoping the construction around here isn't too bad or loud. I know that they've been doing a lot of work out here. That being said, when aren't they doing a lot of work, right? Doesn't matter where you go. I'm going to have to do a slightly tricky merge across two lanes here. But it was no problem at all to accomplish. Going under a few tunnels, some neon lights to light the way. This tunnel used to have a whole bunch of these very orange incandescent lights, but they finally got rid of them. Let's see. This week I had a doctor's appointment. On my way back, I passed through a little market that was in town, and there was a crepe stall. So for lunch that day, I bought a bunch of crepes and ate them. They were fantastic. I believe the stall was run by French immigrants, but I wasn't positive. They were very, very good. The two that I enjoyed the most was, they had like a vegetables one with tomatoes and mushrooms and a couple of bell peppers, banana peppers. That moon has creeped up once again. Wish I could take a photo of it. That might be hard when you're operating a motor vehicle. The other crepe I had was just a ham and cheese one. I think savory crepes are honestly more the way to go. I do enjoy a sweet one every now and again. I did get a chocolate crepe. It was a dark chocolate crepe, which is much more in pace with my taste. But, there's plenty of good options. I always feel like milk chocolate in terms of breakfast food gets too sweet for my taste nowadays. I used to get, chocolate pancakes and stuff like that, but you reach a point where it's like, this is too sweet for me. But the bitter reminder of dark chocolate is nice, and I'm here for it. Because we will have to get over a lane. It took me a very long time to understand the exit-only portion of some of these exits on the highway. No one ever really explained it to me very well. But now I know. Now I don't make any silly mistakes getting onto roads I didn't want to get on. It appears a pebble or something has just flung up into my car. Not to worry. I think we'll be okay. This is one of those highways with a variable amount of lanes on it. Sometimes the left lane is open, sometimes it's not. Although I don't think I've ever actually seen that left lane open. I think they just claim that it can be used. Long number of years ago, I used to live out this way. This would be the exit that I would take to get home after a long shift at work. Not always, but usually this is the way I would come. We're approaching our destination. Still have a couple minutes left, though. Passing a Kia Soul on my left. Or perhaps the Kia Soul is passing me as they've started to speed up. The airport. A unique place to be. Not terribly fond of flying personally. It's just not my thing. I'd rather drive if I could. It doesn't always work, of course. If you're trying to drive overseas, you might find some problems with your navigation. And we're going to be getting off the highway now. Seems there's a truck pulled to the side. Hopefully everything's okay. Maybe he's just taking a little nap. Who knows? Long, long off-ramp. If I recall, and this is off of memory, I could be wrong, I believe they built the highway here, number 670, specifically to get to the airport. It's in a unique position in the city. that makes it a bit of a challenge to get to. Another lane merge here. Seems like there's not too many cars coming in or out of the airport, for that matter. So this should be a really easy pickup, or at least I sure hope it is. If memory serves, they're going to be opening a new terminal here. I can't even imagine what the logistics of a project like that are. Goes over my head. I guess it just means more people are flying. I'm not even sure how. Flying's expensive. I've only done it a handful of times. But it might be fun to do it again at some point. There's a really cool blue tunnel once you get inside. And here's the big sign. I have approached the opening gate for picking people up, so I think this will conclude my little experiment into the podcasting world. I'm still thinking of what possible names could be here for calling this little project of mine, and if it even sounds good or appealing at all. So I might upload it and just see what happens, and if people like it or want more, let me know, and if not, also let me know. I'm okay either way. And I hope you have a wonderful night. And if this appeals to you, maybe you'll even fall asleep to it. That might be nice, right? Alright. Trig Jegman's out of here. Have a good one.